We gather today to hear the matter brought forth by the people of Piasani on behalf of the citizens of Malawi against their government. The court will proceed to attentively hear arguments from both sides and meticulously weigh the evidence presented, after which it shall proceed to render its verdict.
My Lord, today we stand as advocates for the voiceless, the marginalized, and the forgotten. Our case is straightforward, yet profound. The government's failure to prioritize the fundamental needs of its citizens, yet favoring debt servicing over essential services. My Lord, allow me to base my submission from the supreme law of the land, which is the 1994 Republican Constitution. My Lord, Chapter 4 of our Constitution, specifically Section 30, talks about the right to development. The section reads, and I quote, "All persons and peoples have a right to development, and therefore to the enjoyment of economic, social, cultural, and political development. Women and children, and the disabled in particular, shall be given special consideration in the application of this right. The state shall therefore take all necessary measures for the realization of the right to development, and such measures shall include, amongst other things, equality of opportunity for all in their access to basic resources like education."
Machisanzo, boma ndakatengako mbali kwa anthu olumala ngati awa. Tindi anthu olumala ambiri Malawi muno. Anayenera kutengapo mbali ndithu kwathandiza.
Silence in court. Turning my court into a circus will not be accepted. As the people, you are well represented here, and I expect you to speak only through your lawyer. Do that again, and I'll send you out of my courtroom.
Food, shelter, employment, and infrastructure. The state shall therefore take measures to introduce reforms aimed at eradicating social injustices and inequalities. The state has a responsibility to respect the right to development and to justify its policies in accordance with this responsibility. It is against this background, my Lord, that my clients feel that there is a breach of social contract in that context. As per the Constitution, my Lord, government is a principal duty bearer in this regard and is supposed to provide for all basic necessities to its people. My clients, therefore, are accusing government of failing to provide for basic needs as per prescribed by Chapter 4, Section 30 of our Constitution. Failure to provide for the same is further infringing my clients to access and enjoy corresponding rights like right to education, right to job, right to food, and right to life. I rest my case, my Lord.
At the risk of being seen as impertinent to the court, Your Honor, we would like to reiterate the preliminary objections to our written submissions. Your Honor, as the counsel for the applicant was submitting, I carefully and closely looked at the submissions. In the specific chapters of the said provisions cited, they clearly state that government shall take all necessary measures to achieve the said goals and aspirations in the protecting and advancing the rights and freedoms of the people of Malawi. There is nothing there to suggest that government should completely meet this obligation without reservations or at whatever cost. This application is at best frivolous and vexatious. Your Honor, further to that point, according to the celebrated case of minors of Oposa, implicit in the applicant's case is the argument that government has breached its trust to the people of Malawi and reached under the Constitution. However, you may recall, Your Lordship, that under that case, there was made a distinction between breaches of trust in the lower sense, which involve grievances between non-state legal persons, and trust in the higher sense, which involve the state. It has been long-standing argument that the latter, allegations of the breaches of trust in the higher sense, are not actionable. Your Honor, at least not before local courts. We therefore ask the court to declare these proceedings misplaced at the very least.
My Lord, allow me to bring this argument in a specific context. Malawi, as a member of the global village as such, is a signatory to a number of protocols and statutes and other agreements at global, continental, and regional level. Among these, allow me, my Lord, to single out Sustainable Development Goals, which obtain at the global level under the aegis of the United Nations. Specifically, my Lord, let me single out the first 4 goals, namely goal number 1, 2, 3, and 4, which resonate well with our submission. As you may recall, my Lord, goal number 1 talks about poverty eradication, and goal number 2 talks about zero hunger. Goal number 3 talks about good health and well-being, while goal number 4, my Lord, talks about quality education. According to the assessment done by the National Planning Commission in 2023, Malawi is still lagging behind in all these goals. And according to this assessment, it may not make the deadline come 2030 if concerted efforts by government are not forthcoming. My clients are wondering why we are not making progress as a country in line with the set goals, questioning why there are meager resources from our national budgets continually allocated to these key sectors, in contravention of the government's obligations under the aforesaid arguments to allocate certain minimum percentages to these key sectors. For example, my Lord, in the 2024-2025 national budget, the Ministry of Health was allocated 723 billion kwacha, combining general health and WASH, which represents 11% of the total national budget against an internationally agreed threshold of 15% as per the Abuja Declaration. My Lord, this is a sector which is heavily donor dependent and is spending $39.8 per capita, unlike WHO's recommended minimum of $86 per capita to deliver a minimum package of health interventions. My clients are so disheartened to see government allocating 24.7% of the total budget towards debt servicing in the 2024-2025 national budget, more than twice the allocation of the entire health sector. You may wish to know, my Lord, that as of December 2023, total public debt stood at 13.1 trillion kwacha, or 85% of GDP. This, in our case, my Lord, is among other things, leading to the suffocation of quality service delivery by the state. My Lord, the challenges this sector is facing are so huge, and I'll soon be showing this honorable court the extent to which the standards in the health sector have deteriorated. My Lord, permit me to present Exhibit A, irrefutable evidence of the government's disregard for its citizens. These videos encapsulate stories, struggles, and the sufferings of countless individuals forsaken by a system that values death over human dignity.
ngati pamene mwatipeza pano tili pakati poti tabwera ndioyembekezera mwana wanga zimene ndikunena. Ndiye kuti izi ndi zipangizo zoti timupatse mwana uja adye komanso ifenso. Koma chilichonse chapampa chipatala pano timabwera nacho rokha. Palibenso boma limene malithandizira. Thandizo limene matipeze kupano palori madokotala atithandizire mwana aja uchira basa atithandizire akatichiritsa mwana aja kulipatsa mwino tilembera khadi chani kulipatsa kalemera. Number 1 chimene timabwera nacho kuno choyambilira ngati mmene mwatipeza ngati ku kitchen, beseni, ngati mapoto, mthiko, ufa, chilichonse chimene ku kitchen timatenga ngati chathu. 2 ngati cha patient amene mabwera naye. Beseni lo analo kuleba ndiye kuti pepala, salu, leza, mbota. Chilichonse timatenganso ngati kwathu. Boma palibe chimene limalipatsa. Chimene limalipatsa kwa boma kwa ifeyo ngati mwina mwana uja woyembekezera lakadzamba sikelo net yakulele imapezeka.
These videos bear witness to crumbling schools, overcrowded classrooms, with a stark absence of resources. Our children, my Lord, they deserve better. They deserve an education that empowers and uplifts.
We are lacking school blocks. The school enrollment is about 2,276 learners. We have only 8 classrooms, whereby that means we have a shortfall of almost 18 or 20 something classrooms. So that means the school blocks are inadequate. The other thing is we're lacking textbooks. We have textbooks, of course, in the junior and the infant, but in the senior section, we don't have. In other classes, there are only 2 English books against 301 learners. I'll cite standard 6. Standard 6, I've got 301 learners. So English, we have 2 textbooks, English books. So you can see this is a big problem. We don't have resources. We have not been given the resources. The only resource which we have for the learners with a disability are teachers. We have, of course, expert teachers which the government has sent us. There are 3. There are about 3 of them. But if I say about the resources, we have none so far, none.
And lastly, my Lord, Exhibit C brings to light the plight of our farmers, the backbone of our society. These testimonial videos, my Lord, depict a system failing its agricultural workers, leaving them without the necessary tools and resources to sustain their livelihoods. And as the government continues to prioritize debt payments, our farmers are left to bear the brunt of its consequences.
Ndabwera yava udzachira ganyi ife kuti kumunda kwanga sindakolole perereza adandivuta ndiye ndalama kuti nkagula ifereleza ndalibe ndiye kolola kwa lero ndanguwanda kumunda dowe plus chiribu chidatha chimanga ate kwapa madzachira ganyi choti ngandipeze chithandizo choti ndikadye ku nyumba. Ndikanali fereleza ori ndalima ndikamfereleza makolola ndithu chimanga mwina ngolo ziwiri chosendesenda ukaka uri ndagulira wina munda makolola ndithu ngolo folo ndimene ndimakhalira ndithu. Kuno limendera ngati ma ID ndi ID yanga dzina sidaruluke ndewe amakhala kuti dzina laruluka ID amakagula ikafereleza kudalibe zogawana. ndetsana kuti ndipeze ndalama ngati 80,000 kuti nkagule fereleza idandivura.
My Lord, I urge you to consider these videos meticulously as you deliberate on this case. The people of Malawi deserve justice, accountability, and a government that prioritizes their well-being above all else. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, esteemed members of the court, government acknowledges the challenges the nation faces. However, we must also acknowledge the constraints placed upon us by external forces. The debt burden we face is a result of past decisions made in good faith, and we are committed to finding a solution that balances the needs of our citizens with our obligations. It is undeniable that our nation faces immense challenges, and we emphasize deeply with the struggle of our citizens. However, we cannot ignore the external pressures that influence our fiscal decisions, Your Honor. The debt burden we carry is a consequence of past actions taken in the best interest of the nation. Nonetheless, we are steadfast in our commitment to finding a solution that prioritizes both the immediate needs of our people and our obligations to creditors. Rest assured, we are actively pursuing avenues to mitigate the impact of debt, servicing on essential services, and uphold our responsibility to Malawian people. Your Honor, finally, with specific regards to the obligations government has towards its people under the various conventions and international agreements to which it is party, the respondent would like to start by saying that it is true the government is a signatory to a lot of agreements that specifically mandated to provide for the people of Malawi in various sectors, including the ones that have been highlighted by the applicants. But that only signals the government's acknowledgement of duty to the people of Malawi. It could have opted out of them, or it could have signed them with reservations, rendering them virtually useless, but it has not. Most importantly, Your Honor, running through all these agreements is the principle of progressive realization of these obligations. Under that principle, Your Honor, governments are supposed to realize that goals and aspirations depending on, among other things, available resources and circumstances. Your Honor, we need not emphasize what this means in the context of present proceedings. It's not that government is not doing anything or not trying enough. The applicant's submission already acknowledged the economic, geopolitical, and other challenges limiting the government, which are not necessarily of its making. It is disingenuous then for the applicants to acknowledge this, and in the same vein, say government is not meeting its obligations. Your Honor, most importantly, entertaining this application is encouraging a dangerous trend and is bound to set an even deadlier precedent. Thank you, Your Honor.
After a careful consideration of the evidence presented, this court finds the government of the Republic of Malawi guilty of neglecting its citizens in favor of debt servicing. We hereby order the government to take immediate action to address the pressing needs of the people and prioritize their well-being above all else.
As the sun sets on another day in Malawi, the fight for justice continues. The voices of the indebted may have been silenced for too long, but today they echo loudly in the halls of power. And as long as there are those who are willing to stand and speak out, the promise of a better tomorrow is within reach.